After 15 years with TechVantage, the axe finally fell. "Kira, we're restructuring your role," Marjorie Thompson announced, her voice laced with that polished, artificial sympathy they teach in management workshops. She sat across from me in a small, sterile conference room. HR rep Denise parked beside her, both of them wearing their best "we regret to inform you" faces. "The company's moving in a new direction," Denise added smoothly, sliding a manila folder across the table toward me. I didn't bother opening it. I already knew what was inside. The standard package, 2 weeks' pay for every year I'd given them, 3 months of health coverage, and a generic list of career coaching services I'd never touch. I nodded, calm. I understand. These things happen. You could almost see the relief wash over them. They had expected something else. Tears, maybe outrage. Not this. After all, I was a 55-year-old woman in tech. Being phased out wasn't just common, it was expected. They probably figured I'd go quietly, maybe leave with a little dignity if I was lucky. What they didn't know was that I'd seen this coming. Ever since a misrouted internal email landed in my inbox last month, I'd known this meeting was inevitable. "We'll need your desk cleared out by Friday," Marjorie continued, clearly emboldened by my lack of resistance. "And we'll collect your badge, laptop, and phone before you leave. Your team will be notified later today." My team, 6 brilliant engineers I'd personally hired, trained, and led. The same team that helped build the distributed processing algorithm powering TechVantage's Golden Goose. AccountSphere, the accounting software now used by nearly half the Fortune 500. "Of course," I said, standing up. Marjorie and Denise exchanged a quick glance, clearly thrown off by how smooth this was going. But Marjorie recovered quickly. "That's all then. Thank you for being so professional." I just smiled and walked back to my office. As I passed by the glass-walled executive conference room, I spotted Victor Lawson, TechVantage's CEO, gesturing excitedly at a slide deck titled Q3 Revenue Projections. The same man who'd stood on stage last year and taken full credit for the algorithm I created. His words then? "One of our researchers helped with the back end." I shut my office door behind me, pulled out my personal phone, and sent a single text. "It's happening. Friday's my last day." The response came seconds later. "Perfect timing. Contracts are ready. Dinner tonight?" I smiled and looked at the calendar on my desk. Today was Wednesday. Friday would be my last day at TechVantage. And Monday, well, Monday was going to be something else entirely. Scene, upscale restaurant, quiet corner booth. That evening, I met Gregory Sullivan for dinner at Meridian. Fancy place, discreet, far from TechVantage's offices. Greg is the CEO of Precision Systems, TechVantage's biggest competitor, and more importantly, someone who actually understands value when he sees it. He'd reserved a private alcove shielded by elegant Japanese panels. No curious eyes, no corporate spies. "They actually did it," he said, shaking his head as we sat down. I thought Victor might be dumb enough to try, but cutting the person who built the foundation of their flagship product? That's bold. "He never really understood what he had," I said, picking up my water. "He saw the product, the shiny interface, the market share. But the architecture? The system design? To him, that was just code." I paused, smiling slightly at the irony of it all. 3 months earlier, I discovered something strange. The patent application for my algorithm, TechVantage's crown jewel, had never been filed. When I asked legal about it, they brushed it off as an oversight, said it would be handled immediately. But their response didn't sit right. So I started digging. That's when I found it, an internal strategy memo. Cold, clinical. It outlined how they planned to claim the algorithm as company-developed IP. No inventor attribution necessary. And then, just before finalizing the patent, push me out. They were betting on the assumption that anything created while employed belongs to the company, which is true if it was done on the company's time using company resources. But what they didn't know was that I'd been working on a refined version of the algorithm in my off hours, on my personal laptop, at my kitchen table, and those improvements, a 43% efficiency increase, fully documented, fully time-stamped, all mine. I'd already filed a personal patent a month ago, with the help of a top-tier IP attorney Greg had introduced me to. Greg slid a folder across the table. Everything's ready. Sign this, and Precision Systems becomes the exclusive licensee of your patent. I opened it and scanned through. A 7-figure signing bonus, equity in Precision Systems, royalties, my name on the patent, and a leadership title to go with it. Chief Innovation Officer. Greg grinned. Can't wait to see Victor's face on Monday. I smirked. I'm more concerned about my team. They don't deserve the fallout. Already taken care of, he said. We've got senior-level offers lined up for all 6. Big raises, better roles. They can start whenever they want. I signed the last page and handed the folder back. Just like that, I'd secured my future, protected my team, taken back what was mine. To new beginnings, Greg said, lifting his glass. And to owning your value, I replied, clinking mine against his. Scene, office montage, Kira narrating. Thursday and Friday blurred by in a series of farewell meetings, transition docs, and goodbye chats in hallways. People were whispering, of course. Word travels fast, especially when a longtime leader gets walked out the door. Some folks looked at me with pity. Others just awkward curiosity. Junior devs stopped me to ask for LinkedIn recommendations. Admins gave me sympathetic nods. I documented everything, every system, every password, every protocol. Not out of kindness, but for clarity, for the record, to show that I had done everything right, and that the company hadn't. During my final exit interview on Friday afternoon, Denise ran through her checklist like she was ordering coffee. Just need you to confirm that any IP developed during your time here remains TechVantage property, she said, pushing a non-disclosure agreement toward me. Of course, I said pleasantly. Anything created during company hours, using company tools, for company use. She nodded, not catching the emphasis. And you have no proprietary data? I've taken nothing that belongs to TechVantage, I answered truthfully. She didn't ask about anything developed after hours, or off-site, or on my own gear. I stood in my office for the last time, carefully placing personal items into a cardboard box. A photo of my daughters, the mug my team gave me last Christmas. It read, "Code Like a Girl," in bold pastel letters. A small acrylic award for outstanding innovation in distributed systems. The irony wasn't lost on me. Marjorie stopped by, leaning casually against my doorway. Too casually. Just wanted to make sure everything's clear for your departure, she said, like she was checking on a lunch order. Crystal, I replied, wrapping the Innovation Award in a soft scarf and tucking it beside the mug. She hesitated, watching me. You know, these restructuring decisions, they're not personal. Of course, I said, meeting her eyes. Business is business. She flinched, just a little. Maybe it was the calm in my voice. Or maybe, deep down, she realized that the youthful direction she kept talking about was about to get expensive. So, will you be taking some time off? I smiled. Actually, I start something new on Monday. That caught her off guard. Oh, already? That's fast. Yeah, leadership role. I'm excited. She gave a stiff little nod, clearly trying to calculate how I'd landed a new position so quickly. Well, good luck. I didn't answer. Just picked up my box and walked out of TechVantage headquarters for the last time. The building gleamed behind me, all glass and ambition. I paused for a second, glanced up at the top-floor conference room, probably prepping to reassign my projects to some junior PM with half the experience and none of the context. They had no idea what was coming. Scene Monday morning, Kira's new office, sleek, bright. Monday dawned clear and sharp. I wore the charcoal suit I'd bought just for today, something with structure, power. At 7:30 a.m. sharp, a black town car pulled up outside my home, courtesy of Precision Systems. By 7:45, I was stepping into my new office, corner view, floor-to-ceiling windows, the kind of space they never offered me at TechVantage. Greg met me at the door with a grin. Press release went live at 7, he said. Industry's already buzzing. The statement was a masterclass in strategic messaging. Precision Systems acquires exclusive rights to revolutionary processing algorithm. welcomes inventor Dr. Kira Jennings as Chief Innovation Officer. It didn't pull punches. The announcement made it crystal clear. I was the creator of the technology. My name was on the patent. Any company currently using the algorithm, including, yes, TechVantage, would now need to negotiate licensing terms. By 9:15, my phone buzzed with the first message. "What did you do?" "Miguel, my lead engineer from TechVantage." "Check your personal email," I texted back. Each of my former team members had job offers waiting in their inboxes. Senior positions at Precision, better pay, more autonomy. They'd earned it. Meanwhile, back at TechVantage HQ, things were unraveling. Victor had apparently walked into his office Monday morning and found both the CFO and general counsel waiting at his door. The press release had hit their inboxes before he'd even taken a sip of coffee. By 9:30, the weekly executive meeting had turned into a full-blown crisis huddle. Board members were calling in. The legal team was tearing through every document tied to my work. Servers from the research wing were physically wheeled into a secured room for analysis. Miguel kept the updates coming. "They're pulling all internal files with your name on them. It's chaos. Victor is losing it. Someone asked if we actually filed the patent. Marjorie looked like she was going to faint. At 10:45 a.m., I got an email from Victor himself. Subject, urgent, request to discuss. Kira, there appears to be some misunderstanding regarding the recent announcement. Please call me at your earliest convenience." I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded it to Precision's legal team with a single note, FYI. Scene, industry buzz montage. News clippings, charts rising and falling. By noon, the fallout was everywhere. Tech blogs were dissecting the story in real time. Industry newsletters had already labeled it a strategic coup. On Twitter, analysts were debating how badly TechVantage had screwed up. Their stock had dropped 7% since the opening bell. Ours? Precision Systems was up 12% and climbing. 3 different tech journals requested interviews with me. I politely declined. Let the work speak for itself. Greg popped into my office that afternoon. "How are you feeling?" he asked. "Validated," I said, and I meant it. 15 years of watching men take credit for my work. 15 years of being told I should be grateful just to have a seat at the table. And now, my name was finally where it belonged, on the patent, at the head of the table, and in the headlines. Seeing Kira walking confidently into her first conference room at Precision Systems. Later that day, my assistant appeared in the doorway. "Dr. Jennings, the development team is ready for you in the main conference room. Also," she hesitated, "TechVantage's CEO has called 4 times. Please let him know I'm in meetings all day," I replied smoothly. "Our legal team can coordinate." As I walked into my first team meeting at Precision Systems, my phone buzzed again. Another update from Miguel. "Victor just called an all hands for 2 p.m. Board is losing it. P.S. My team and I accept your offer. When can we start?" By Tuesday morning, the full scope of the disaster had set in. TechVantage's flagship product, AccountSphere, was completely dependent on the algorithm they no longer had rights to use. Their only choices? Pay Precision Systems a premium for licensing rights, or try to rebuild the entire thing from scratch. Miguel texted again that afternoon. Victor told the board they can replicate the functionality in 6 months. I laughed out loud. It had taken me 3 years to build that algorithm. 3 years of deep domain knowledge, late nights, and pure obsession. 6 months? With a skeleton team and a looming lawsuit? Not a chance. "They're dreaming," I said during a call with Greg. "Let 'em," he replied. "Every day they waste chasing your shadow gives us more room to lead." By Wednesday, it was clear to the entire industry. TechVantage had blown it. 2 of their biggest clients had reached out to Precision Systems about switching platforms. They didn't want to get caught in a tech war over licensing rights or risk their operations running on compromised code. Can't blame them. Precision stock kept climbing, another 8% up by midweek. Meanwhile, Miguel and his team were preparing for their final days at TechVantage. One of his texts said it all. People are updating LinkedIn profiles mid-meeting. Everyone feels the ship tilting. At 3:30 that afternoon, I got the full recap of Victor's all-hands disaster. He'd tried to put on a brave face, projecting confidence and control, but the cracks showed fast. When someone directly asked whether TechVantage had failed to secure the patent, Marjorie went ghost white. Victor shut down the Q&A within minutes. And then came the call. Not from Victor, from Denise. Yep, that Denise. Same HR rep who handed me my severance folder with corporate detachment just days earlier. Kira, she began, her voice extra careful. We wanted to follow up on the, situation regarding the patent. Sure, I said, completely even. We believe there may have been a misunderstanding around the IP rights. I let her finish her sentence before replying. There's no misunderstanding, I said. My employment contract is very clear. Anything I developed on my own time, using my own equipment, is mine. She tried again. Victor was hoping you'd consider coming in to talk, work something out. Any discussions will need to go through Precision's legal team, I said simply. They'll be happy to set up a licensing meeting. A long pause, then finally she sighed. I'll pass that along. Scene, boardroom at Precision Systems, Kira presenting. That afternoon, I gave my first formal presentation to the Precision Systems Board of Directors. It was a full roadmap presentation, where the algorithm was headed, the evolution of the platform, and how we'd leverage the IP to pull even further ahead. And this time, I wasn't the silent one at the back of the room, I was leading the room. Greg sat at the head of the table, nodding with pride. Scene, industry fallout montage, headlines, stock graphs, analyst tweets. By Friday, just 1 week after my departure from TechVantage, the crisis was in full bloom. Their stock had plummeted 23% since Monday morning. Analysts were calling it the worst IP misstep in the industry in a decade. Articles with titles like How TechVantage Lost Its Edge in 10 Days and The Algorithm Crisis That Broke a Titan were going viral. Through my own contacts, I heard Victor had finally admitted to the board just how bad things were. Their options were bleak. Option 1. License the algorithm from Precision, at steep rates and with public acknowledgement that they'd failed to protect a critical innovation. Option 2. Rebuild from scratch, which would take years and massive cash they didn't have. Miguel updated me that afternoon during a video call. They've already started interviewing for a new dev team, he said, sipping his coffee. Victor's saying it can all be recreated in 6 months. I couldn't help but laugh. With what? Interns? Miguel chuckled. Nobody's buying it, especially not the clients. We talked about his team's transition to Precision, excited, motivated, finally free to build without politics in the way. That same afternoon, we got the email we'd been waiting for. TechVantage's legal team had finally reached out to open negotiations. Greg and I sat in his office reviewing the draft response our lawyers had prepared. Technically fair, I said, skimming it, but strategically painful. 3 times the industry standard licensing fee. Mandatory public acknowledgement of me as the technology's sole inventor. Greg looked up. Victor's going to hate this part. He should, I said flatly. He tried to erase me. If they don't agree? Then they rebuild, and every extra month they spend trying to copy me, we widen the gap. Scene Monday morning, fresh start at Precision Systems. 10 days after I walked out of TechVantage, I was leading my first strategy meeting with the newly formed innovation team at Precision Systems. Miguel, Anita, Samir, all 6 of my former engineers, were now fully on board. The room was buzzing, whiteboards filling up, laptops open, energy through the roof. This, Anita said, looking around, is what a dev meeting is supposed to feel like. No more wasting half our time explaining basic concepts to VPs who don't understand what a stack trace is, Miguel added. Exactly, I said. That's the difference between being valued and being tolerated. Just as we wrapped the session, my assistant knocked on the door again. Dr. Jennings, there's been a development. TechVantage just announced an emergency leadership change. Scene, industry news alert montage, breaking news tones. Victor Lawson had stepped down as CEO, effective immediately. Marjorie was out too, and the head of legal. The official story cited leadership restructuring in response to strategic challenges. The unofficial story, everyone knew, they blew it, and the board cleaned house. That evening, I received an unexpected email from Richard Donovan, TechVantage's interim CEO. It was short, respectful, and very, very different in tone from Victor's message. Dr. Jennings, congratulations on your new position. I've been brought in to help navigate the current situation. I'd like to meet and discuss fair licensing terms for your patented technology. We're prepared to publicly acknowledge your contributions and make amends for previous missteps. Are you available to meet next week? I forwarded it to Greg with a short note. Phase 1 complete. His reply came almost instantly. Beautifully executed. The board is thrilled, and this is just the beginning.